I was a quitter in life. I was unsuccessful. I was just a loser. 20 years old, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like listening to the Apaches firing. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But then I was like, I had this calling. I had this like warrior's call. I was like, I should be over there. Is that the pain of quitting hurts way more than the pain of failing. I was like expecting a 12-month deployment at month 10, and they were like, you guys are all gonna stay for 15 months. And if I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna go after the best because I got nothing to lose.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Hey, we got a little impromptu podcast. My boy Jeremiah here came down from, where are you from? Florida?
Flew in from Florida.
Yeah. He was up at LA. Were you in LA?
Valencia, LA area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And doing some training for a high-level company. He's doing some high-level training with them and kind of spinning them up. But stay tuned for this entire podcast. It's going to be sick. He's going to drop some bombs, and we're going to continue to talk a little bit about how you compare success with your military experience, and or if you're a civilian watching, some of those things that we just went through a minute ago in this badass workout you guys are going to see. It's just breaking through what you think is hard and continuing to push on that shit, because that's just the beginning. And the only time that growth is actually made is when you push through the times that are hard, or at least hard to you mentally. And then that's where growth is made. But introduce yourself, bro.
What's up, guys? Jeramaih Solven. Austin, thanks for having me, man.
For sure, dude.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, we absolutely crushed a workout today. I'm a former Army Ranger, but before I became anything in the military, I was a quitter in life. I was unsuccessful, and I was just a loser. But turned my whole life around by joining the military and getting around mentors, working on my mindset, doing a lot of personal development. And I went from the bottom 1% in the military to the top, and I served in the 75th Ranger Regiment as a infantry officer there. After that assignment, I became an infantry commander. So I finished my time in the military as an Army commander, where I had 130 soldiers underneath my leadership, 4 deployments, 3 to Afghanistan, and then 1 to Iraq at 20 years old. And today I have my company, Conquer Academy, where I do leadership and high performance coaching for executives and high achievers.
Hell yeah. I love it, dude. Something you talked about, like, so going back to your story real quick, let's dive right into it. You said that you were a quitter in life before.
Yeah.
What was the change? Was it the military, or was it somebody? Was it a mentor, or what was it?
I mean, like, a lot of you guys know how this goes, man. Like, I grew up in a small town of like 300 people, and I had a hard time believing in myself.
Yeah.
Got it.
Confidence?
Yeah, lack of confidence, small town thinking, small thinking. And when I got into sports in high school, started to pursue a dream. I wanted to be an athlete, but I didn't go as far as I wanted to go. And when that didn't happen, I quit on myself. I gave up.
So it was like, it's not for me. Fuck it.
Yeah, I just was like, I wanted to go on to state and wrestle, and all, didn't go on to college and wrestle, but I just wasn't good enough. So when that happened, I just drifted, and I ended up going to a community college for like 2 semesters, drinking and partying, had a fake ID, going to all the bars at like 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And just started drifting and hated my life. And I just got fed up and decided, let's screw this and join the military. And that put me on a whole different track in life. Yeah.
It sounds like, I mean, from us talking earlier, you said you didn't just go off and like, fuck it, I'm going SF, or I'm going American Ranger Battalion.
I didn't.
You're like, I'm just going to join the Army. I
didn't even know what special operations was. I didn't know what a Ranger was. I didn't even really know what Navy SEAL. All I knew is I hated my situation, and I had a best friend in high school and a girlfriend in high school that had joined the military. And I saw them like 6 months later. They came home on like leave, and I'm like, oh man, they have nice clothes. They have a car, and I'm like over here broke and like just drunk at 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, they look like they have their life together,
Yeah.
So I'm like, that looks better than this. So I dropped out of college, joined the military, and they gave me, I became an engineer.
Yeah.
So they gave me a shovel.
There you go.
A tape measure.
Nice.
And that was my job.
Were you doing EOD stuff on the engineering side or no?
No EOD.
Oh, so no. Okay.
I basically did design work for our battalion. So I drafted roads and buildings.
Yeah.
As part of the battalion.
That's a good skill set. That's a tangible skill set to, like, a lot of people get in the Army, I feel. I think people join the Marine Corps. At least I know that most people join the Marine Corps. They're like, fuck it, I'm going to go kill bodies, bro. I'm in the Marine. I just want to be a grunt, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people that gravitate sometimes towards the Army or the Air Force, they're like thinking of a tangible skill that they can get out with at the beginning that they're going to get in the civilian world, which is a smart play for people.
Well, and the thing was, I didn't have enough confidence in myself to go after anything big so I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted. I just thought about what made sense to me.
You got to feel like you needed it. I mean, that makes sense 100%. And that's something we can talk about real quick too. The military, regardless of politics, regardless of like whether we believed in certain things we did or we didn't, which we could get massively hung up on, is the military overall for young men that feel lost at a certain time, like have that adventurous spirit or don't have any freaking mission. And I preach on this hardcore, and I'm sure that you do too. It's like, I think all men need a mission. And I think when we're young, we have no idea. And we have so much outside noise, whether it's from family members, whether it's from friends, whether it's from our social circle, or just what we think we're supposed to do after we get out of school, after we get out of high school and don't know what the fuck to do with ourselves. You're supposed to go to college, kind of our era, right? We're almost the same age. And the military provided a place for me to have that structure, you know, even though I had good parents, I had a good growing up. I was chasing some type of adventure. I was getting myself in trouble, as we talked about before, and going down this wrong path. But it was just because I had this energy, and what was considered negative and bad and could easily turn into the wrong type of energy was almost harnessed and more polished within the guidelines of the Marine Corps, and then set in a direction. And I think that's what most men need, especially, you sound like you did wrestling, right? You were a wrestler?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the same situation. Like if you don't have a mission, you're going to self-destruct. A high achiever, alpha type guy, if you don't have direction and a mission, you're going to self-destruct.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that was my case when I dropped that, when I was in college, just drinking all day. And then, you know, it just like, you have to be pointed in a positive direction, and you don't even need the military to find your mission. You know, like only you guys that a lot of people will seek for clarity and seek for growth in maybe the military, but really all you have to do is just start working on yourself, you know? And if you start dropping the bad habits, you start really going into personal development, just make yourself a better man, your mission starts to reveal itself, you know?
100%. Well, and I mean, something we just did, we just crushed ourselves in a little Metcon. I let him choose the workout today. He decided to make one of us puke. You guys can guess which one. There was 3 of us. It was neither one of us.
Yeah.
But the point is, it was a good workout. And I think that the foundation for me, you know, I started lifting weights and getting into fitness because I wanted to get jacked and big, because I was a smaller guy in high school. Like, I wrestled too, and I was like, I want to put on weight now.
Yeah.
And I started going to the gym and whatnot, but that created my own disciplines because I wanted this outcome, right? And so I think the foundation can start with that. And then, like you said, once you start to go through those things, which we realized during our last workout, and kind of I had some epiphanies of my past, was that, oh yeah, that when you do those type of things, you break through these things. That's what strengthens your mind. And when you strengthen your mind, your confidence goes with it.
It changes your identity too. Whenever you break through
Your self-identity, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you break through a limitation that you never broke through before, it changes what you believe about yourself.
Yep.
You know, it's like I tell guys, especially if they're a little bit older, like maybe, you know, 40 or whatever, they're not in their prime. They're not in their 20s and 30s. It's like, but they still want to redefine themselves. One of the best things that they can do is just get shredded, bro.
Exactly.
Just take yourself down to 9% body fat. Use extreme discipline, and by doing so, you'll change your entire belief system.
So I guarantee you'll get confidence, man. And it's not just because you look better without a shirt on. That is a really good confidence that will help, but it's because of what it takes to get to that point.
Exactly. You change your entire belief system about yourself.
And it doesn't cost any more, bro. Like, to eat in less food and to go and work out. You don't even need a gym membership to really do this.
No,
so it is a good foundation, man.
100%, man.
Like you said, you don't have to be a bodybuilder. You can literally just be running your neighborhood, walking your neighborhood and stuff like that. But so let's dive a little bit more into your story. So boom, you get in the Army, you're an engineer. And what leads you from going from an engineer? Do you see somebody? Do you like, dude, these are the badasses, I want to do this?
Well, so I go through the military pipeline, and about a year after I signed up, I went through all the military schools, and I actually was trying to like hide in the background, but when I was in basic and AIT, I always got pulled out and put into leadership positions. So the military put me in uncomfortable situations to lead others.
Yeah.
And I was so scared to fail that I would just succeed, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my growth kind of started happening. And I started getting some wins with leadership roles as a student leader. And then I found myself in Iraq after I signed up about a year later. I was there for 15 months. So I came to
our redeployments were long then, bro.
Well, it was like a surprise too. Like, I thought we were going to be there for 12, but they did the surge in the middle of it.
I remember all those guys got stuck there, dude.
Yeah.
I had buddies that were in the Guard, and they were there for I felt was forever, because the Marine Corps only rotates 7 months out.
I was at like month 10 when I was like expecting a 12-month deployment at month 10, and they were like, you guys are all going to stay for 15 months. And I was like, there was 2 months left. You're telling me 5
months is 5 years of this time in your life, bro.
So, I learned a lot about, life, myself. I learned a lot about that stuff over there in Iraq. I had a lot of time to reflect. There was no real internet, no real connection to the U.S. I mean, you had a little bit here and there.
Sure. Yeah, it wasn't like it is now.
No, you had to go use the freaking call cards and shit like that.
Yeah, Facebook, maybe I could get on the internet and I could make messages.
Yeah, exactly. So you had a lot of time just to kind of go.
I didn't get a sat phone. You didn't get a sat phone at the time unless you're like high up.
No.
I didn't call nobody. I had no interface with anybody.
Yeah, dude.
So it was good. I think it was really good that way.
Yeah, like I think you learn, solitude. when during times of solitude, you reveal yourself to yourself, you know?
Yeah.
You really do. Like a lot of people don't really know themselves in today's world because they're so stimulated.
Distracted.
They're just distracted. And, you know, all different types of social media. And even if it's not social media, they walk out their house and it's just the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It's like, bro, when do you ever just go inward to really figure out what you're about, you know?
Good point. And I want to touch on that because that's exactly what happens. A lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, Austin, how did you get successful? How do you get successful? And what I say is like, there's so much outside noise. I'm like, well, what is success to you? Because success to you is going to be, you have to define what that is because as you know, being in the military, dude, you can't hit a target you can't see. So you have to understand like, what is success in the first place?
How do you define it?
So for me, what's important is experiences, man. Like my car. Some people say they see the Lamborghini or the cars like that, but I've always been into cars. Like I was an auto body and collision in high school, and so I like the experience of driving the car. And I'll sell it. I have like no emotional attachment to stuff. I'll get another thing. I like what we talked about earlier. I think the military and/or my prior just adventurous wanted me to just stay moving. Like I like the next thing. And then I think that's why I got so addicted to like self-development too, is because once you break through these glass ceilings, you get addicted to the changes. Like you see your body change, you see your mind change. When your mind changes, you see your finances change, right? And then it's like, oh, what's next? What's next? Then you connect with people that are doing it at a fucking 10x level, and you're like, and you take pieces from it. But what happened to me, and I won't go into this too deep, but what happened to me is it's easy to get distracted even when you're in that realm too, because you could chase somebody else's version of success in finances, right? I can be like, I see somebody that's really successful, the roofing company, and I'll be, oh, I want to do roofing. Well, why do I want to do it? The reason I want to do it is because the money that you have, and maybe I don't necessarily want the life that you have. And so for my version of success is, I think it's important to be well-rounded in all ways. Like I don't just want to be rich and I don't just want to be fit, because I hung out with rich dudes that were out of shape and miserable, and I hung out with like fit dudes that were broke as shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I want it all. Like I want it all. Like I want all of the things that come with success. It's the cars. And if I were to put it into one word, bro, it's really about like freedom, like financial freedom, geographical freedom, the freedom to do what I want to do in this life, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it.
That's solid.
As long as it's in a moral and ethical way, in a positive direction, you can't go wrong with that, in my opinion. That's what true success is to me.
I like it. You know, and by chasing freedom, you end up landing all the other stuff along the way.
And 100% is, this is what people don't realize. This is what men need to really pay attention to, is that you have to chase which you're called to. And then what happens is the byproduct is your wife can afford to get the car that she wants, or live her dreams or her passions as well. But you yourself have to lead from the front when it comes to that, and then show your family that they too can get into the best shape. And by being a good leader, we can attest to this and talk a little bit more about your Ranger experience too as an officer, is like you lead from the front. So you're showing other people by example what they can obtain. And you have a family and you have kids, they're going to emulate what you're doing, not necessarily what you're saying.
Yeah, people don't follow what you say. They follow what you show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And money's huge. Like money's really, really important. I don't want to tell people that it's not, because it really is. It's immeasurable in our society now. It's like the tool that you use to get what you want, right? And so it's important for you to understand that. And if that's important, then you have to push on that. Right. And
well, not thinking about money is like mentally lazy.
It is. It's giving up. It's like, oh, well, I wouldn't have time with my kids. But that means they bought in to the fact that they were told some story, or they saw their dad, or they saw somebody else like, he's a workaholic. So if I go chase that and I chase money, then I won't have any time with my kids. But that's complete bullshit. Like you can design your own life however you choose.
Yeah. So some people, you know, when they think about like finances, any area of your life has these sensitive areas where people want to avoid thinking about them, whether it's the relationship themselves, money, whatever. And it's like the goal is really to be able to master all those areas, like you said. And I want to be excellent. I don't want to just have things. I want to be an excellent man. I want to be an excellent leader. And that means that I have to address these areas in my life that might be painful to look at.
Exactly. That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, why do you think they avoid it?
Yeah, it's just a habit of detachment. Like it's easier to not put their head in the sand and chase some like type of stimulus, like the drinking, that whatever it is for them, than it is to just like make themselves look at the problem and take accountability, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So dive in a little bit about so when you went in your first deployment, were you an engineer?
Yeah, I was an engineer. I was there for 15 months. And then we had, I was like, my first exposure to combat, I was driving down the road. I used to drive a lot. The vehicle in front of me exploded. Yeah. It hit a bomb.
Were you guys running Humvees?
I was in an LMTV. So like, like a pickup truck, like a big dump truck almost.
Yeah.
Was this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like
5 tons.
That was like an oh shit moment. Like, oh, I'm really at war, you know, or whatever. And So I started really thinking about life. And then we had an officer in our unit that was hit by a roadside bomb, and he died. And, you know, he was 23 years old, super charismatic, just like poster boy child, you know, and I liked the guy so much. I didn't interact with him a lot because he outranked me so much, but his death really impacted me, you know? And when that happened, I started thinking about what I was going to get out of life and how quick it could go. And it was in that moment I had I was laying in this, I was putting in a campsite pretty much like a patrol base.
Yeah.
And I was in Bakuba. And the 82nd Airborne were going through, I think it was 82nd. They were going through and they were clearing. Apaches were flying through. They were shooting down into the city. And I was sitting here at this patrol base, just hearing the gunfight going on like a half a mile or a mile from my location. And it's like 2:00 in the morning. I got my body armor on, my helmet on, my weapon, and I lay down in between some concrete barriers. And I'm 20 years old, you know, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like listening to the Apaches firing. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But then I was like, I had this calling. I had this like warrior's call. I was like, I should be over there. I shouldn't be putting in this patrol base. I should be like, you know,
Getting some
right now. You know? And I mean, there's just this, every man has this inside too.
Absolutely.
Where maybe it's not war, but it's some type of calling that they feel, you know? And so I don't like quitting stuff, you know? So I had dropped out of college. I decided to go back to school and finish what I started. I liked the military, but I didn't like the job that I was in.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to become an officer. And I had some good leaders, but I had some bad ones. And I'm like, I'm going to find a path to do an even better job than the ones that I don't like, right?
Yep.
So I just logically went that direction. And I said, you know what? And if I'm going to go for it, I'm going to go after the best because I got nothing to lose. So it was like I made a decision, special operations, I'm going to freaking go for it. And it took me, you know, just under 9 years to just get a shot at getting in the door for special operations.
It takes a long time, the indoc and the build-up and everything, the school.
Yeah, I had to go back to school, graduate, be competitive enough to get into the infantry, all that type of stuff. But I would say that the main lesson for all of you guys is like that I learned is that the pain of quitting hurts way more than the pain of failing. Way more. And the whole journey from Iraq to Ranger, that chapter of my life, I failed so much. But it was nothing compared to quitting on myself right after, you know, school in my first dream.
I want to touch on something that you said, and it kind of goes back to experiences and perspective.
Yeah.
Experiences and perspective are super important because I think that a lot of, and it sounds, every time I interview somebody from the military or I talk to friends of mine that were in the military, especially maybe going overseas too, but you get a good perspective. You think that perspective shift that you had because you saw one of your fellow soldiers get killed in action. Do you feel like that you said it a second ago, it shifted your mindset, it shifted your perspective? And I think do you think that has a big impact on your success too, because you realize how small and how fast life can be taken from you?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I lived my whole life like I'm not going to live tomorrow.
Yes.
I mean, I really do. And
you become less fearful of like risks or what people would consider risky, right? Or wait on the sidelines or procrastinate.
It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you have time tomorrow to do stuff.
100%.
It takes mental discipline and mental strength to keep yourself grounded in the fact that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I really do strive personally to do that. And on days where I'm tired or days that I don't want to do the work, I just think, well, dude, tomorrow, like anything could happen. And that, like, I think about those deployments and I think about just life and I just try to keep myself grounded. And I really do believe that helps a ton when it comes to becoming more successful with other things.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk about, so my personal perspective, and this is something that I kind of struggle with still, is thinking, because I have that same feeling and there's that same nature of like life can be short, it can be taken tomorrow. And so when it comes to wealth, when it comes to money, it's a longer game. And so you have to play a short game now because you don't want to wait 10 years to buy the dream car that you had just because you finally made 100 million or something.
Yeah, right.
At the same time, you don't want to not plan for the long game when it comes to wealth either, because it's something that I'm not good at, which is patience.
Yeah.
And planning that. And so it's a dichotomy of having like a understanding that I may not be here. What can I take care of and what can I do? But at the same time, preserving money or putting things away or having the disciplines to also understand that I'm not going to, that I need to play this longer game in order to make X amount of money or to have X amount of wealth or to provide X amount for my family in the future. And I fight that because I want to have the experience now because I know how short life is. I think that's something that would prevent me from, and I just don't care to somebody that becomes worth, $5 billion, because that takes something that I'm not willing to give up, which is some existence and experiences right now.
Yeah.
But I also know that I want to be X amount of successful just so that I can do what I want to do and how I want to do it.
Yeah, well, you're defining and playing your own game.
Exactly. And that goes back to success, because so somebody else may find something else way more important, right? And I tell people all the time this, I'm like, yeah, the cars really are a thing. I'll use them as a good example because they get a lot of clicks, or they get love, or they get hate, because people think materialistic stuff. Same with houses or watches and shit that you see on social media here. But I know people that are like country boys and stuff like that spend, over $250,000, $500,000 on hunting equipment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ask anybody that's ever been around any equestrian or cowgirls, and their truck and trailer and rig, maybe a couple million between that and the horses that are in the back. And I want nothing to do with that, but it just doesn't get the same love or hate. Yeah. I mean, I knew a doctor or a guy that owned a medical company that was a wrestler. And he bought a combine for fun. Like, that's a freaking $500,000+ machine for fun, because he makes the money. So, but that just doesn't get shit on. But my point is, like, figure out what is important to you, and don't measure yourself against other people unless it's in a positive direction, right? If you surround yourself and you're like, dude, I want this guy's lifestyle, I want this person's lifestyle, then you can measure yourself against them, but ask the questions of, like, what have they done to get that? And then, because I had made a mistake at the beginning, that I was getting in these entrepreneur groups, I was trying to make more money. And I was like, I'm listening to everything they say. And so once you kind of open that door of, like, you're the mentor, I'm the mentee, I'm listening to everything, that you start to, like, take all of their information. And it's like, whoa. I had to step back and realize, like, I want nothing to do with this guy's life. He's, like, divorced 3 times. He's an alcoholic. Sure, he's worth millions and millions of dollars more than me, but, like, I don't want everything that they have. And so
I don't want his character.
Take this piece of advice from this person, put it in your tool belt. Talk a little bit about that, like some of the leaders that impacted you to get to where you are, because I'm sure there's many of amazing leaders in the Ranger battalions, and just like any other military or any other command, there's bad leaders, and so you learn from both.
Yeah, what I learned about mentors is that the teacher appears when the student's ready. And as cheesy as that sounds,
No, it's fact.
It's true. Like, whenever I was going through a hard time through my journey, the right person just seemed to come along, because I was, like, looking, and so I had a hard time believing in myself, but it was kind of these peaks and valleys with my confidence. And anytime I was in a valley, a mentor would pop up. So I actually call all of the mentors, all of the great leaders I've had in my life, I call them Major Steel. And so it's just one character that's helped me throughout my entire life go on to the next step.
Yeah. Is that a real guy?
Yeah. Well, he's like he's a persona of
gotcha.
So in, like, high school, he was a wrestling coach of mine. In the military, he was this leader, then this leader.
Yeah.
Major Steel is like this persona that I created that's helped me kind of, like, throughout my life.
I love it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think that the teacher does appear when the student's ready. You got to be in this place where you're ready to drop the ego and just listen. But yeah, I mean, your mentorship changed my life completely. Ranger mentorship is what got me into the Ranger Regiment. It got me to take a shot on myself, and it also is what helped me become an entrepreneur and be successful in business.
It's huge, man. That's huge. So talk a little bit more about what you're doing now and what you've done since you've gotten out.
Yeah. Well, so after the Ranger Regiment, I was basically, like, went from playing flag football to being in, like, the Super Bowl is what it felt like.
Yeah.
And
I went from engineers to Ranger.
Yeah.
And then you're a fucking commander, dude.
Yeah. So I was an infantry. I was a Ranger platoon leader, and I went in, and I actually went into my last Ranger mission, and it went south. The whole op went south. And
Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan. Yeah. We flew in at night, went to go do a raid. This is a guy, like, the president knew about that we were going to go after. And we march in with the partner force, the Afghans. We get in. The guy knows that, like, we're coming. He barricades himself. We get into a giant gunfight. We have, like, a ton of people that get wounded, and U.S. forces, partner forces. This guy ends up, like, throwing grenades down on top of our task force. He starts shooting down with us with a rifle. There's machine gun fire coming from the back corner. And I mean, even the village that we were in started waking up and started firing down on us. So we ended up getting, like, completely outmatched. And so what was, like, this big dream of mine became a nightmare. And they say that war is a boy's dream and a man's nightmare, right? So it just, that mission messed me up, because we actually had my commanding officer on the ground. He had to make the decision to withdraw that night, and we evac'd out, almost got taken out by some RPGs on the way out. And when I got back to the States, I hit rock bottom. I mean, I turned to drinking, I fucking running from my problems. I was having marital issues. And, I almost ended it. One night I had a bottle of whiskey in one hand, gun in the other, and I was in an apartment by myself, just like, fuck this, I'm out. And, I hit rock bottom, and, I made a decision at that point, had a conversation with God, and he was like, fuck no, He's like, I had made a commitment to him on the path to becoming a ranger that if he had helped me with that journey, that I was going to pay it forward. So in that moment, he was like, you promised. And I was like, so I put down the gun, put down the whiskey, and I started doing personal development, and I made myself better. So personal development helped me become a ranger, but I wasn't applying it to my life. So at that point, I started applying, habit building and success to my life, goals to my life. And that's when things started moving for me. That led me to my next mentor. And a couple years after that, I ended up getting into leadership coaching. And I started teaching people the experience I learned as an infantry officer, working from, 2-man teams up to 130 personnel companies. And I just kept snowballing it. So what ended up happening was I ended up signing up for a 100-mile race in the Rockies. So I'm like going through this like transformation. I reached the apex of my career in the military as a ranger. I hit rock bottom, and then I'm a company commander, and I'm going and I do another deployment. I finish that deployment. I'm in Colorado, and I'm kind of soul searching again. What am I going to do next? More military or business, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm working with this mentor. But long story short is I was sitting on my couch, and I decided to sign up for a 100-mile race. And it was 6 days later.
Damn.
So I just
Probably in pretty damn good shape though, but maybe not 100 miles.
I was in good shape. I had never done anything like that before.
That's crazy, man.
But I'm like one of these. This is important too, because I'm one of these guys that like when I check myself when I'm living in a state of want.
Exactly.
If I ever feel like I want to do something, I put my ass on the line to go do it. Right.
I love that.
So it's like
That's the difference in successful and not successful people, man.
That's a huge shift that everybody can make. If you catch yourself wanting, do. You know?
Take action.
Do.
It's the only way you get it done.
Yeah, like don't live in a state of want, live in a state of action. And so I was like watching social media, and I see like Cam Hanes, I see him running a marathon a day, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna run distances like that, one day. And I was like, check yourself, bro. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do one of these 100-mile races. So I started looking, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do a training plan, I'll train up, I'll go do the race. And maybe 6 months down the line, I'll go do one of these things. But the one that I find is like 6 days later.
Yeah.
And so I click it, I buy the ticket, and I call my buddy, and I had done one before. And I'm like, bro, am I going to die?
Yeah. Am I going to get...
So anyways, I ended up running this 100-mile race. One of the hardest things I've ever done.
Oh, I imagine.
36-hour race in the Colorado Rockies. I had never done anything like that in my life.
I got oxygen. It's just talk shit.
Oh, hypoxia, bro. Like I died and came back. Like it's a whole story. But on that race, I realized that it was time for me to close the chapter of the military. Yeah. And then get out and continue on my business.
You probably got pretty deep with yourself in that mental state.
Deep as fuck.
Tell me how you really find yourself, man.
Bro, I mean, the thing was like I went out there, had no idea what I was doing. I rolled up in an Uber. The Uber took me it was a 90-minute to 2-hour drive into the woods. So
yeah.
I had a grocery bag of snacks and a $50 pair of Under Armour shoes for my bagged up shoes. God. And I'm like showing up
busting accessories. Like they start good marathons.
I'm like, here I am.
Yeah.
And then I get out there and I start running, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I start asking other people who have done them before. Like, hey, do you guys sleep when you run these 100 miles? Like, yeah, you eat. Like,
yeah.
Do you eat when do you go, or do you stop?
Sure.
I'm like learning. So they just kind of school me up, but I'm keeping up with them.
Yeah.
And they're running uphill at like 10-minute, 15, whatever minute flat pace. And so I blow up. I'm like gas out. 10 miles in. I'm like worst headache of my life.
90 more miles.
90 more miles, bro. And it was the hardest shit. And I got so broke off at mile 20 that I thought they were going to medically evacuate me off the mountain.
Yeah.
And so I get to a checkpoint, and I'm so nauseous and so delirious. I just lay down. I find a spot in the shade to hide myself, kind of like a wounded animal. And I like the way they see me. Oh, I was so like embarrassed. And I'm like, if they see me like this, they might pull me off. So I was like,
straight up,
let me just lay here for a second as a last ditch effort to get myself back together. And I lay down. I'm like, I'm fucking done, bro. Like I'm out the mount. and I put it on social media too. I was like, guys, I'm gonna go do this 100 race. So the pressure, so it's in my head. But
you tapped out. You had to.
So I was about to, and then I'm laying down. I set my alarm for 20 minutes, but at like 10 minutes after I laid down, it was like a God moment again. It was, God came through, and he was like, bro, we don't quit. We do not quit. And this whole experience was transcendental. It was like my mind and my body
not connected.
They started fighting each other, and my mind told my body, you're going to get up or I'm going to drag you through the next 80 fucking miles by your corpse.
Sick.
And it was like, I just started moving. And the next thing you know, all I could see was the feet in front of me and one step at a time. And it was like everything around me just got dark and all I could see was my feet. And I was reliving all these different memories that I had in my life.
100%.
Military trauma, childhood shit. And I just found tremendous strength in the darkest places in my mind. And that pushed me through for 20 more miles. I got to the 40-mile marker, climb up this big fucking hill that you could slap. It was so steep. And I get to the top of it and I'm like, I get a second wind and I'm like, holy shit. It's like Goggins talks about this. He's like, when think you're at 100, you're only at 40%. And, so I get to that 40-mile marker and I'm like, I'm actually going to be able to finish this race. And I mean, the 60 miles after that was nasty. I had to go through the night. I got damn near hypothermic at night. There was one point I had one of those wool,
Kitsoni,
and I had Ranger panties on the whole time.
Shit. Yeah.
I'm in the Colorado Rockies at night. It's like 20 degrees. Yeah. And I'm like, blanket over the top of me, and I'm just jackhammering, walking
one foot in front of the other.
By myself in the woods.
Yeah.
No crew.
Yeah. No headlamp on or not?
My headlamp.
Yeah.
But this the stupidest shit. But I ended up completing the race. I almost didn't make it a couple more times. But I realized on that race that like everything I was doing in the military, what was driving me was I was chasing significance. Like I wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel like I was making an impact.
Sure.
And the thing I realized was that what really made me feel good was helping people.
Yeah.
And I realized it was the leadership, the jobs that they gave me that made me feel good.
Yeah.
So
how much it changed your life.
Yeah, 100%. So, I realized that it was not the military that I was seeking. It was impact that I was seeking. So I knew that I had to get out of the military to make the biggest impact possible. And so I was out within 4 months. I built the business. I was already doing it part-time. I was already like, from freaking just you're working the 20-hour day.
Yeah.
But it just like kept snowballing. So that's what led me to what I'm doing today. And I went from making, $1,500 or $500 for my first sale, $1,500 the next couple months, and then, $100K a month, and then building a team and then losing the team. And so it's just been all the ups and downs, but it's been an awesome ride and I've loved every second of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're working with like companies too, right? You're working with companies and people.
Yeah, Jules. I started off online, but I have a online fitness and mindset program.
Yeah.
Then I have life and leadership group coaching, and then I work with executives one-on-one and high achievers one-on-one as well. So if you're in sales or if you're in you own a business, I'll help you with your leadership. I'll help you with your overall productivity and your performance, and I'll teach you all the skills I learned running teams to help you more effective at set of things you're doing.
I love that.
So I do that, and then my in-person stuff. I have an in-person events that I run. You call Conquer Quest, but then like I just finished up in Valencia. And I did 2 days of leadership training where I worked with the CEO of the company. She's got 100 employees roughly. And I put them through 2 days of mission planning, how to build a high performance team, and then how to effectively put a brief together and brief it and lead a mission as a team. So the whole thing is teaching them how to be more effective with their mission planning and execution so they can save money and make more money.
Love that, dude. I love that. And we should definitely do something together when it comes to an event or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. So what's the future look like, man? Let's dive into a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I got a big vision, but I'm taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just...
You're married, right?
Yeah, I'm married. I met my wife when I was in Iraq.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you guys have stayed together throughout the military?
Yeah, we went
up and down
through. Yeah, we've been together since 2000. We met in 2007. So it's been, I don't even know the math anymore.
Yeah. No, I know. It's fucking forever now.
18 years. We're like 18 years and no kids or anything like that. But we went through the military, and then got married. Entrepreneurship. She's an entrepreneur as well. She has her own business. And it's not very many people that do that for 18 years.
No.
Between the military and business together.
100%. Pretty good, dude. Good job. Hell yeah. So what is your version of success?
I mean, bro, like as long as I'm chasing my potential every day, like really, truly chase that. I know that sounds cheesy, but that's really what it's about.
When you're on your path of purpose,
that's all I care about.
And you feel so aligned, it doesn't really matter. It all falls in line,
I have a vision of like where I'm taking the company. Like I want to build the number one coaching company in the country. That's what I want to do. I won't say the company's name here. There's a top company in the country right now that I'm mentally competing with.
Yeah.
But I think I can do a better job, and I can put top people from the military and athletes inside of as coaches. But as I'm building it, my goal is 10 years as the primary coach inside the business, and then I'll start adding in people after that.
I love it.
So that's my vision. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be successful today. Just go as hard as I can, do the best job that I can, help my clients get body transformations, life transformations, business transformations.
I love it.
And, make more money, be happy.
That's right.
That's all I care
It's
about.
all encumbering, right? It's all together. Like, it all matters. It all matters. And especially on one vertical that you're good at. One leg of the chair is, like I like to say, then it's going to fall over. Yeah. You're definitely weak in other aspects, so you have to work on all those other things, because true happiness is not found in just finances. It's not found in just being physically fit. It's not found in just
big on vision, man. Like like people ask me, what's the best thing the military taught you that's helped you kind of in business? And I had to learn how to speak in pictures as an officer, right? Like I had to learn how to communicate and cast a vision. When you do a military op, how do you accomplish the mission? Somebody gets up there and they talk about it. Absolutely. They paint a picture of the battlefield, and they get a clear picture, and then everybody accomplishes that.
Yep. Clear mission.
Clear mission.
Yeah. And you have a contingency route, then you have a tertiary.
Yeah, but you have this picture that everybody's working towards. Yeah. And even if the leader's not there, everybody has the picture to go do it.
Right.
So like for me, my life is really, I try to live out of vision and intuition all the time. What's my vision and what's my intuition calling me to go do? And then just hammer that over and over and over again.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. Where can everybody find you?
Oh, Instagram, guys. And I'm on YouTube as well. You guys can check out some of my stuff. But Jeramaih Solven on all the platforms. JeramiahSolven.
You had to spell that because I would have fucked it up.
Yeah, there's an A in the middle. It messes a lot of people up. So JeramiahSolven.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming down and shooting out of San Diego, making a little 3-hour trek to come freaking work out, crush us a little bit, had a good time. You guys will see that content and come over to the house and shoot this podcast. So I look forward to staying connected, man, and I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.